Good morning and welcome to this week's Grow, where we gather to recharge, organize, and work here as members of MWAG. We are glad that you're joining us today as we have been working on our Hope Votes series, working up to the election in just less than a month, or just about a month, I should say. We have Lisa Tingy with us, who is going to be talking about voter preparation parties. If you are not familiar with those, this is a great way to get an idea of what that would look like for you to host one for your community, your neighbors, or family, just close friends, however you wanted to do that. We have some resources that we will share with you today and ways to do that and different things. So I'm going to turn the time over to Lisa.
Thank you so much, Rachel. Okay, hi. So we are very excited to talk to you a little bit about these voter prep parties. If you've never attended one or don't know what it is when you, as the host, invite people into your home to discuss what's on your ballot. And it's a very friendly discussion. It's just a way to help people in your neighborhood get informed, help get it front of mind that there's an election coming up and you should participate. And there's a lot of different ways that you can hold one. And really, it fits pretty much any type of personality or comfort level that someone might have with politics or with the election. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. This year voter turnout is predicted to be very high in swing states. They're estimated it's going to be over 80% in most of those swing states, which is so high. I want to say in 2020 we broke records, and it was around it was lower than 60%, I believe. So this is a huge difference. So it's in the news a lot. People are getting their mailers, they're seeing the ads, people are thinking about it. Now, what they're going to do with that, we don't know. And you could be the one in your neighborhood that helps them actually get out and vote and help to strengthen our democracy locally. So we really want to push back on the perception that neighbors can't talk about politics together. We want to help people understand that not taking part in politics is also, in a way, taking part in politics and giving your power away to someone else. So through these voter prep parties, you're really building your community's resilience to handle complex conversations, to have mutual respect, to speak with civility and kindness. You're strengthening your community and your feelings of trust in each other, even if you may disagree sometimes. So we want you to, one of the big benefits to these voter prep parties is that you're really sharing the work of getting informed about the down ballot races, especially, that are most often overlooked. So most of your friends, they probably already know how they're voting for president. If you have like a Senate race, they might already know how they're voting for the Senate, for the US Senate. But a lot of these down ballot measures, there's judges, there's city council members, there's school board members. There's not as much information about those in your face like there is with these national elections. So we are going to, share this work of getting informed on those kind of issues, as well as ballot measures. So the very first step that you want to do is print out your sample ballot online, and you can do that. A lot of people use Ballotpedia. I found personally that it's the most accurate when you go to your own state's voting website, usually hosted by your Secretary of State. Type in your address, and then it'll give you exactly what your ballot is going to say. If you're lucky to live in a mail-in state, you're going to be getting, I don't know if you might already get it in the mail now, I don't know, but any day now if you haven't. So then you open up that ballot, you take a look at all the different things on there. And so there's a couple, like I said, a lot of different ways that you can do this. You could assign different sections out ahead of time to different people. Say, hey, could you just research this one judge? Like, could you just Google their name and see if anything comes up? And you could do it that way. You could have everyone come and then do it together and kind of, crowdsource together. What's really great about the voter prep parties is we have so many cool resources to help you carry it out in exactly the way that you want it customized. So I'll talk a little bit about that real quick. the very first thing that you'll want to do when you go to our website, you'll have to fill in a little form to get a link to all the materials. And the reason that we do that is because we really want to measure our impact this election season. We want to make sure that what we're doing is helpful, and that it is making an impact. The second reason that we're doing that is because we have stipends available to people who are willing to host. There are stipends available in all parts of the country right now. And that money can go toward printing costs if you decide that you want to print out some of the resources. It can go toward invitations, it can go toward food, drinks, really whatever you want, that money can go toward. It's just a little way of saying thank you for taking part in democracy. But that's another reason why we want you to fill out some of that information before you get our materials. Once you get to the materials, you'll see a few different things that you can look at. We've got voter host instructions. That's the very first place to start. You're going to take a look at that. You'll see exactly what you need to do to host, exactly what it's going to look like. We have, and then as far as the things that you can use at your party, we have a little voter note sheet that you can give to your guests so that they can take little notes. We have a lot of really fun elements that we've added this year. If you've done them before, that was essentially, oh, we also had, and we have had in the past also an online, like a Google Sheet. And the cool thing about the Google Sheet is you can share the document at your house and people can kind of type things into that together. So you already have one shared document that you're working out of. But it also means that you can do this party online. I know a lot of people back in 2020 did virtual voter prep parties and they invited people from all around and they did it on Zoom and they could all be typing in together. It also means you can do it asynchronously. So maybe you don't have time for one in person, maybe you don't have time to do one online together, but you can even just send this link out and then have people crowdsource things together, which is also really helpful. So those are, if you're like you love this stuff, your friends love this stuff, you really want to dig into it, you want it more like a study group type situation, all this stuff is perfect for you, right? This is great. But maybe you're not, or maybe you are, but maybe you think your friends are going to be like, a spreadsheet, this does not sound like a fun time. Okay, so we added a lot of really fun elements to appeal to lots of different people. So I'll share a few of them here. First of all, we have a Spotify playlist, a party playlist. If you go to @MormonWegs account on Spotify, we also have links in the voter prep party pack. So it has it spans genres, spans generations, all songs that just get you pumped about living here, being part of this cool democratic experiment. Just really feel good songs. So that's really nice to set the mood. We also have, I'm going to share this here. These are some MWEG branded mocktails. Okay. So we have here Just Peachy Government Julep and a Berry Nonpartisan Sangria mocktail. Okay. So just some little fun things to kind of get people in the mood, get people having a little bit of fun. We also said that it would be fun to do, we suggested having a little non-alcoholic drinking game. So like you pick a couple words beforehand and anytime someone says it during the discussion, everybody has to take a drink or, eat a marshmallow or whatever it is, however you want to play that game. We also have a trivia game that's really fun. We have all these little trivia cards here. Played in the style of Wits and Wagers if you've played it before. So all the, some trivia games are kind of uncomfortable, especially if it's about politics and you just feel really dumb, like, should I know who the 6th president of the United States was? And then you just feel bad and it's not really that fun. These trivia questions are all numbers based. So the way that you play, for example, the first one, Victoria Woodhull was the first woman to formally run for president. How old was she when she ran? Okay, probably nobody in your group knows that answer, but you can all take educated guesses. You write down your answer and then you put them in order, numeric order, and then you bet on which one you think is right. So even if you are totally off and everyone shows their answers and you like, I don't know, I thought she was 78 and everyone else thinks she's like I don't know, 625, I don't know. Then you still have a chance to redeem yourself because you can still bet then and get points for betting the closest answer to the real answer. Another one of the questions, we have questions about our presidential and vice presidential candidates. Here's the one for Kamala Harris. Vice President Kamala Harris is known for wearing Converse sneakers on the campaign trail, but the largest Converse collection in the world belongs to Joshua Mueller. How many pairs of Converse does he own? Okay, so it's just kind of fun, fun stuff. And they all come with a little fun fact after and just a silly or sometimes informative discussion question that you do after. So that's another fun thing. This one is a new one this year. It's called Hope Votes Bingo. Okay, so this is something that you can do on your own if you want, or you can pass it out to your guests at the end of the voter prep party. It's a list, everything on this list are things that are going to help you make the most of this election season. Okay, it's either going to help you to come to understand your own values better. It's going to help you have good conversations with people. It's going to help you become more informed. And the idea of making a bingo card is that you're trying to, get your bingo before someone else in the party does, or get your blackout if you want the ultimate principled citizen status. Okay. But again, just another little fun option for you to do. We have even more games. We have Halloween themed games. We've even made it so that if you feel a little nervous about throwing a whole voter prep party, you can add some of these elements to any get together that you're having between now and election day. Okay, if you're having a Halloween party, if you're having a book club, just think through your head about some of the different things that are, go through your little calendar, see what's going on. We have little elements that you can add to those things in very non-offensive ways, to the contrary, very fun, lighthearted ways that will help your neighbors and you to get a little bit more informed, get a little bit more connected, and to take away that stigma that politics is off the table to talk about. Because really, when we do leave it off the table, we're giving away the power that we as a collective can have. Okay, so those are some of the components. I want to talk just a little bit, I touched on it earlier, but who this is for. I think most of us, when we think about having a voter prep party, maybe you have a few names that come into mind, okay, who you might invite. I'm gonna guess that the first names that come into mind are people who post about politics online, people who think the same way as you, people who are political hobbyists. They're very up on the news, they're very informed. Those are probably the first names that came into your mind. And I want to just push back a little bit on that. Yes, invite them for sure. But those are not the only people that we want to involve in this. One of the reasons that we put so much work into including these really fun, lighthearted, but important elements to these parties is so that more people can feel welcome to participate. Okay. There are a lot of people out there who have long felt that politics was not their place. They feel super overwhelmed by it because there is a ton of information and it takes a while to jump in and to get your bearings straight. They feel like politics is kind of gross, right? They see the rhetoric and they don't want any part of it. Or maybe they want to, they want to vote, they want to be, they want to contribute to their democracy, but they just really don't know how. Maybe they didn't have that example growing up, or they just don't have time, right? They're so busy. Okay, these parties are for these people because we want to make our democracy a more inclusive democracy. When you have more people participating in these elections, you get less polarizing candidates. You get less extreme policies. There are so many benefits to having a higher voter turnout. So think again now. You already had those first few people come to mind. I want you to think in your head about someone who is just super busy, but likes to have fun. Okay. Think in your mind about the different communities that you're a part of. Are you part of a book group? Are your kids part of sports teams? Are your, think about your coworkers or your classmates if you're in school. These are all people that you could put on your list to invite to something like this, because I'm telling you, it's going to be a good time. We've done everything that we can to really ensure that you're going to have a fun time together. Okay, next, how do we invite people? Okay, we wanted to just share a few ideas. First of all, is there anyone in here who has, I know we have one guest who's going to be talking to us in just a little bit about a voter prep party that she threw. Is there anyone else in here who's thrown a voter prep party before? Okay, we've got Rachel here. I'm going to share a couple examples, and then if anyone would like to chime in with how they invited people, sometimes just hearing the language helps you to see that it really doesn't have to be an awkward thing. Okay, so here's one option. This is like the full information here. You could say, you text them, I'm hosting a voter prep party on October 21st, 7 p.m. at my house. I hope you can come. It'll be a neighborly, nonpartisan discussion where we can all share what we've researched about the ballot. RCP, if you're willing to research a candidate issue, let me know. If you don't have time, come anyway. Okay, super laid back, easy, no problem. Okay, here's another one. Okay, so I just checked out the sample ballot for the election, and there are tons of things on there I didn't know about. I'm throwing a little party with friends to chat about it so we know what's going on. And we're gonna have games and drinks and all sorts of stuff. It'll be fun. Can you make it? Okay, super simple, very casual, no pressure, right? Another one, game night. I'm doing an election themed one this time. Don't worry, you'll love it. We'll chat a little bit about what's going to be on the ballot too, so we can be extra patriotic. Eagle emoji. Are you free? Want to bring a snack? Okay, super simple. You can do this. It's not hard. I will, yeah. Now I think let's have Felicia Wilson from Texas is here today with us. She has thrown a voter prep party, and I would love to hear her share, all these kind of little details, like how you decided who to invite, how you did it, how it went down, and just your impressions on what it was like.
Okay, thanks so much, Lisa. Wait, am I already? Yes, you can hear me? Good. Okay, so I actually left out because I do post a bit on social media about voting and things. And so I had a friend in the ward who asked, would I be interested in maybe expanding a conversation and inviting people over? And I said, of course. And I thought it would just be a few people. She opened it up to our entire Relief Society and posted on our Relief Society chat that, Felicia's hosting a thing, so everybody come. And since she did that, I felt sort of empowered, and I posted it on my Facebook and my Instagram. Everybody, I'm hosting a thing. If you want to learn what's on the ballot, if you want to talk about candidates, I'll be there. We can talk. And listening to all these party ideas, I think that would have been amazing. Luckily, the people that came were all open, wanting to hear what was on the ballot, especially some of the local races. And so I felt like there wasn't the need to like spruce it up too much, because we were already interested in what we were talking about. But it was, very casual in the living room, sitting around. I had everyone check their voter registration just on the spot. That takes, 2 minutes. Someone in the room hadn't registered to vote, or they needed to re-register, so that was a good check. And then we sort of went ballot, piece by piece down the ballot. We talked about first, like, what some of the candidate positions actually do, what they're in charge of, like, why should we care about the criminal appeals court, for instance. Like, we didn't know there's a couple races that the titles are
weirdly specific, but also don't actually describe the job. And so we talked about that and why those positions are important. And we had a Texas voter prep party as MWAG, which I had attended the week before, and it was super helpful. So I already had some MWAG information about candidates, which I shared, but then I also, dug in a little more for each of the candidates. And I tried to give some pros and cons about each, some experience about each. I was sort of the only one there who had really delved into the ballot, but that's fine because I do my ballot research every time. And so this was as useful for me as it was for everyone else. We just kept it short and sweet, about an hour, because it was a weekday. And then people were able to go back home and think about things. And I've had some follow-ups with people about, well, what about absentee ballots? What do I do about this and that? And I've been able to send information along. I've reached out to that woman who needed to re-register and get that ball rolling for her. I thought it was super helpful. And actually, now that I've done one, I'm like, why aren't I doing this all the time? This should just be a regular thing and expand to more people. These are just the ones that I knew were already interested. But I should just start reaching out to more people, not even in Relief Society, but yeah, on Facebook group or in my neighborhood, anyone who's interested, and I'm happy to talk to whoever. So it was very low key and fun for me. And it sounds like there are way more ways to make it fun. Drinks, I should have done that. That was great.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. Does anyone have any questions here that they'd like to ask about these parties or anything related? If you do, go ahead and write something in the chat. I want to add, people really are hungry for this. They are so happy when someone takes the initiative to start something that they know is going to be helpful. People want things that help them, and this is so helpful. I want to also reiterate a lot of the motivation for people to attend one of these is when they know that you're talking about these local races. They want someone who's done some research already. They might even be willing to, hop on and do the research at the party. That's another one of the cool things about it, is you can model what that looks like in real time, so that they not only leave more informed, but they leave more empowered, so they know how to do it for themselves next time. And they see, hey, look, I do research all the time in my regular life. I've researched my, trips that we're traveling for our family. I research, when my kid is sick, I gotta go online and do all that kind of thing. These are skills that people already have. And so when you can model it for them in real time at one of these parties, they see it kind of clicks a little bit better. They understand, okay, this is really something that I can do. All right, we got one question here. Sorry, my phone is sideways. Okay. What things do you do to really keep it nonpartisan? It feels like some people might come to promote a specific candidate. That's a really good question. Felicia, since you just barely shared, did you have any experiences with that?
A little bit. I didn't know where everyone stood on the candidates. And so there were occasionally comments. There was sort of the agreement in the room that we're going to keep this nonpartisan. We're just going to talk about experience and issues, and not one side or the other. We could talk about one side or the other, but we were trying to keep it balanced. And so there was a couple times where someone would say something about a particular candidate that was a little a little over the top, or like clearly showed where they stood politically. And it was just sort of my job to sort of rein it in and say, like, yeah, that's interesting, but have you also considered this? Or like, I know some people feel that way, but not everyone feels that way. And like, just sort of leave it at that. We tried not to go into any deep controversies, or we tried to just keep it pretty, neutral. And so especially when I was going through the ballot, that was one thing, is like, we are in a partisan state. I am. And but being able to say good things and less good things about each candidate from any party, I think was helpful. So like, yeah, this person is this party, but look at what their experience is versus this person from this party who has this kind of experience. And which experience do you think is better for this position? Because some is clearly not, and others is. And so regardless of, I didn't even really mention their political party most of the time. I was truly trying to focus on their experience and why or why not they'd be good for that position. I hope that helped.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I'll just add, when you're, I've hosted several of these myself. When you are sitting together in person, just feet away from people, and they're your friends and your neighbors and your ward members, people are a lot more civil than they are online, even people who are not that way online. So we also, in our host instructions, we have a list, and oh, I forgot to say, we also have a slideshow that you can use to kind of guide the discussion. And in the slideshow, as well as host instructions, and on the voter worksheet that you can pass out to all your guests, we have a set of ground rules that really reiterate, let's be respectful. We're all here to learn. We're all here to have fun. It's fine to share opinions. It's fine to, we're here to hear why you're voting or not voting for someone. That's important. But let's all be respectful as we share that information. And I've never had it be an issue before either. When you set those expectations and follow through yourself.
Yeah, Lisa, there's a question in the chat. It says, if someone researches a candidate ahead of time, do you direct them to the resources to use, or do you just trust that the information they bring is accurate?
This is a really good question. So if you go to our, like I said, we have that collaboration sheet that a lot of people that we think is a great idea to use, because you can go with your own ballot and write down the candidates, and you can leave the party off also to help, again, keep it focused on who they are, not what party they belong to. But there's a column there for links. And we encourage we encourage them to, seek out to share their sources, first of all, so you can see and evaluate what those sources are, and to use reliable sources. So there's a column, there's the government level. So federal, state, local is the first column. Then we've got the government race that they're running in. We have the candidate name, where you list all the different candidates, links, so you can list your sources, and then your notes, where you can list your pros and cons. So that is really helpful. And again, it's also just these many touch points and trainings where we're like, show your sources. This is important. Let's evaluate, a lot of these materials that we share also have QR codes to our principled voter slides that are on Instagram. So you can, again, just little like nudges to help people to put their party away for a minute, make that not be such an important part of their identity and their driving force of who they're selecting, but to really focus on principles that are good for our country, good for our communities, good for our families. Are there any other questions?
Lisa, I like that you said that talking about pros and cons, and as Felicia was talking, I was thinking about that is such a good way to keep it nonpartisan. In that question is listing the pros and cons instead of trying to stump for that candidate is a good way of showing the positives. They're the pros and cons, right? There's going to be certain things that appeal to other people that not, but when we use some of the principles as MWAG has been sharing throughout our Hope Votes of how does this candidate's position help the greater good, or how does it help the people of our community, or different things like that, then it kind of keeps it that balance and keeps it the nonpartisan. And so that was just something I was thinking.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Any other questions that we can help answer? I do want to reiterate again, we do have funding to help you cover the costs for a party like this. Now, I will say you can do this party for free. The way that we've got it set up, you don't have to spend a dime to hold a party like this. But if you're a party person and you want to have all, you don't pull out all the stops and you want to do it all, we have stipends to help support that. We feel really strongly that this kind of this initiative, doing these voter prep parties in communities across the country, is going to have a big impact this election season. And so we really want to help you in any way that we can. Yeah, anything else anyone wanted to add? Okay.
Well, thank you, Lisa, and thank you, Felicia, for talking to us today. Next week on The Grow, we have Meredith Gardner, who is our Director of Media Literacy, and she's going to come and talk about researching candidates, what that looks like. So if you're still preparing for a voter prep party, that would be a good Grow to get some resources, some more resources, and how to find good ways and to research out the different candidates. And Meredith has some great resources so that you're going and finding good, factual, nonpartisan information. So join us next week for The Grow if you are interested in learning more about that and want more resources. And until then, I'd say good luck, and we hope to hear about your voter prep party successes. See you next time.